Welcome back to another episode of Learn to Play Yu-Gi-Oh! You want to play Yu-Gi-Oh! But there's a lot going on. I got you. That's how I felt. So I'm here to answer your questions. Today, we're going to be talking about cost. Today's video is sponsored by the semicolon. I constantly forget what this thing is named, but ever since playing Yu-Gi-Oh! I now remember. So the semicolon is your cheat sheet for cost. If you saw episode 1 of our Learn to Play Yu-Gi-Oh! Then you remember this bad boy, the colon. And the colon is your cheat sheet for activation. So let's get into some examples to talk about cost in Yu-Gi-Oh! Okay, our first example is going to be Roar of the Blue-Eyed Dragon. So if we notice, you can banish this card from your graveyard, semicolon. So quick quiz question for you. Can you ghost spell this card? Nope, you cannot ghost spell this card because you can banish this card from your graveyard, semicolon. That is cost. It is not part of the effect that is activating. So that semicolon means that it is cost, so you will banish for cost, and then you'll be able to fusion summon one fusion monster from your extra deck. Another great example is the deck that I learned how to play Yu-Gi-Oh! On, Pearly. We have the My Friend Pearly, which says you can pay 500 LP semicolon. So if I go to activate My Friend, I pay 500 life points as cost, and then this is where I end up getting interrupted because they wait for you to pay the 500 because that's cost. Okay, let's look at some non-cost examples. So Chia-C Cat has the, during your main phase, colon, so this activates, you can banish one Malice card from your hand, comma, then you can draw 2 cards. So when you activate Chia-C Cat, you do not banish for cost. So you activate and then they can ash it, but the banishment does not happen for cost. This is different from Cyberse Wicked, which is why Cyberse Wicked is so good in decks that want to get stuff banished, because it says if a monster is special summoned to a zone this card points to while you control this monster, activation, there's the colon, you can banish one Cyberse monster from your graveyard, semicolon, that means it's cost. So another great example of cost is Yummy Snatchy. So we have once per chain during the main phase or your opponent's battle phase, quick effect, activates. You can pay 100 life points. That is cost. So even if something occurs that does not let you quick synchro, you pay the 100 life points because you got to pay cost. Here's another example. Draco Tail Phimena says during the main phase, quick effect, colon, so it activates. You can discard this card, semicolon. That is cost. Discarding the Phimena is cost. So if you, let's say, impulse this, right? They do not get to keep the Phimena in hand. They had to discard it for cost. Which is why it's important to know when you're playing against someone what is cost and what isn't, because this could make a really big difference, right? If it's like, oh, okay, I'm going to impulse it, and they're like, oh, okay, it's negated, and then they keep it in their hand. No. The Phimena is in the graveyard because it discards for cost. So yeah, that's cost. Honestly, it gets a lot more simple when you really just remember that colon means activation, semicolon means cost. And it's important to make sure that you are reading your cards and understanding what is cost and what's activating and what's not cost. And also when you are playing against someone to, it's okay to pick up their card and read it and look for those 2 keys, because there's so many words. Sometimes when I'm playing, I literally will just pick it up and be like, okay, colon, semicolon, colon. Like you're just trying to figure out if something's activating or something is cost. So hopefully this was helpful. Let me know if there's anything else that you want to see on the Learn to Play Yu-Gi-Oh! Series that we're doing. And yeah. Thanks for joining us for lesson 2 on cost.